evening. I'm in the distance somewhere. Good evening, Tribarian. Good evening, lads, lasses, and you non-binary. I yell from across the room. Excuse me. This is probably the most scuffed stream I've ever done. So if you see anything you're not supposed to, just pretend you didn't. I have to run across the room to look at chat. Yes, you join me in my very small kitchen with essentially my microphone in my hands because I didn't really have much another way of using it. So, welcome to this very strange, bizarre choice. And why is there 2 audio inputs? Shiny thing, danger, don't you worry, I know, I'm about to put something in the way, so it should be fun. If I put this in the way, shouldn't be able to see much. Don't you worry, that's why there's a rice cooker there as well. And also the camera is looking towards the ground, which means it's going to be much more difficult for it to reflect my face. Don't you worry. In the few minutes I had to think up this stream, I did think about that. The audio is going to be scuffed. This is all going to be scuffed because I am mildly delirious. And we all make the best ideas when we're like this, don't we? I'm literally having to look away from the microphone because I really should have thought about this. I didn't think about this. I need like a second device, almost. Like a really cheap one that I can just get chat on. So I can have chat with me. Also, I'm very, very warm right now. Give me a moment. Let me put you somewhere nice and delicate. In my cupboard. The microphone is going into a cupboard. I've forgotten what I was doing. What was I doing? I wasn't cooking. Oh, that's right. Air conditioning. My God. Even though it's late autumn at this point, I cannot get away from the damn heat in this apartment. It's like it was perfectly designed to keep all the heat. Making some sort of food, presumably. Yes, I'd presume that too. It's a very strong presumption you're making, Tiberian. Frankly, I might not be able to get around to making anything at all tonight. But yes, we are cooking some food in that pan, as the camera, which I'm terrified of touching, sits on top of an old box, because that was the stickiest thing I had. I think you could see the box in the corner of the camera. Point is, luckily, this is that sort of terribly shiny stainless steel. It actually makes it very difficult to see anything on. Yes. I think the cameraman broke it. Turns out that really static image was not intentional. For some reason the camera has turned off. Why have you done that, camera? Why must you make my life so difficult? Come on, camera, you can do it. You can do it! I'm looking at you, camera. You can't stop me. Why aren't you connecting anymore? Why must these things happen? Life is so difficult. Truly. I am a underprivileged class. Just trying to cook some chicken. And why do I have 2 audio inputs? This is very bizarre. I'm going to mute one of them. There's 2 audio inputs for some reason. But yes, how are we all feeling tonight, though? I'm sorry for missing this weekend. It was quite nice, though. The trip I went on. Very long. In fact, the alcohol I have, which I was hoping to show on camera, but for some reason, it isn't working. Where is my camera? Computer? Where is my... Did that crash? Did I close that? Oh. close the program. There you go, it was my fault. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thunk it? It was me all along! I slept at night when I wasn't supposed to? Oh no. Oh dear. That's dangerous. And I probably went to work when I wasn't supposed to. I was almost certainly sick on Friday. Well, I didn't actually go to work on Friday. I was almost certainly slightly sick on Monday. That's why this stream is probably going to be very short. After I cook, we eat, I'll probably finish the stream because my throat's still not doing too well. That's what I get for ignoring my own illness and going on a trip instead. This is what I get. Alright, you little bastard. On, camera. Turn on. Alright, wonderful. Wunderbar. Look at that package name. Ah, you can see my tiny kitchen now. A real live image. Look. Look, a rice cooker that I should probably start right now, actually. Oh my goodness, we're going to be waiting for rice. Love this little rice cooker. Absolutely spectacular. Probably the best investment I have made in a long time. I think it cost me like 20 bucks. Spectacular little bastard. It's got a little handle. Very cute. It's sort of tragic, though, because it means there was enough people in this world that are by themselves that they required such a little rice cooker for themselves. Eating more rice here than I could stand. Mostly because the bread is awful. Don't like the bread in Japan. Oh my goodness, I'm going insane. Alrighty then. I suppose I should retrieve the chicken from the fridge, shouldn't I? And also the drink of the day. So 20 bucks, you mean $20 a dues? Yes, I do. Which is probably about, what, 12 American dollars? 12 freedom bucks, as you sell fellas call it. So it's pretty affordable, all things considered. Also, by the way, you don't know this, but right behind the camera is the kitchen sink. So if something goes terribly wrong, that camera is going straight in the sink. And I will not say there isn't water right behind it, so, you know, we're really playing with fire tonight. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this wonderful, ill-advised stream brought to you by an old man who's got too much to lose and nothing to gain. I'm like the opposite of the man with nothing to lose. But yes, I do mean 29. And by fire you mean water, yes. I certainly do. It could start a fire, though. If we're really bad at it. And also I've probably marinated this chicken for too long. By about 30 minutes. This is what I get for doing silly ideas. Alright. Turn that over for now. So I can show off the chicken. So tonight's chicken... Oh, tonight's meal is a garlic... Onion garlic. Sort of a weird Japanese version of like a garlic chicken. Like a fried chicken thighs. It's very nice looking. This is the first time I've ever cooked this recipe. And I did all the marinating an hour before previously, so we're hoping it turns out well. But, as always with any meal I make in Japan, it is accompanied by a bottle of sake and poor decision making. I'm really feeling it tonight. Speaking of the sake of the evening, here it is. Let's throw it in front of the camera. There you go. Ooh, look at that. So when I was on the drive this weekend, I took a long drive across the country, several hours. I got a free day off on Friday though, so I had plenty of time to do the drive. So I drove several hours, fair few hours, across the country, and when I was driving through Nagano, I believe, I popped by a little roadside stop. I actually popped off the highway because I needed to fuel up. And I decided to explore the area a bit because I made good time, you see. My friend that I was going to visit wasn't actually going to be ready for me until later the evening, so I decided to do a bit of exploring around the area. My friend lives in a very remote area of Japan, surrounded by mountains, very similar to where I was, where I found this little bottle of sake. So I travelled a bit around, looked around the city, and I was like, I don't want to look at the city, let's go on a little bit of country drive, you know, see what I'm doing. And I found a little roadside station. Not going to mention the name of the town, but you can probably find it if you're more determined, because it's got a little character in that bottle. But yes, and I found that they had a Matsutake sake, so this is good old Nihonshu, but with mushrooms. Let me turn it around. Let me turn it around. There you go. Mushrooms, sliced matsutake, the real fancy stuff. Apparently they were harvested in the area around the little village that I found myself in. Beautiful little roadside stop, though. Beautiful location. Ah, that area of Japan is looking... Well, where my friend was, too, was spectacular, but... My God. Do I love autumn. Australia is really missing out for having bloody all-year-round green trees. The absolute bastard. The goal of Australian trees to be evergreen. Why can't they be so deciduous? Why must they always be so antithesis to deciduousness? Why must they be non-deciduous trees? I do like Australian trees, though. They're very beautiful. But it is true that I'm a real sucker for autumn colours. Maybe it's because I haven't really seen them much, but they're really great around this time in Japan. Well, at least the north area. When you say Nagano, I'm running a counter-program of the Winter Olympics. I should have made, lol, no, Nagano. Yeah, I'm not too sure about the Winter Olympics. I assumed it was done in Nagano, as well as, I don't know how they do it usually, but Nagano is known for its ski fields. It has quite a few ski fields around there. It's one of the major ski zones. I went to a hot spring village east of Nagano City, so the capital city of the Nagano Prefecture. When I went travelling around last year in winter. Beautiful little hot spring village. It's near the very famous valley that has all the monkeys. 98! That's when my nephew was born. But yes, 98. I don't remember. I wasn't really looking at much about Japan in 98. I think most of the people in Australia had practically given up on the Japanese after the, well, we were most of the way through the, lost decade, or whatever they call it in Japan. I think most people had sort of given up on Japan at that point, after the 80s. Rough times. I imagine that Olympics probably, in part, helped contribute to the mild economic recovery of Japan. I don't think it really ever did really recover. Just stabilized. Oh, Nagano. Beautiful time. A lot more modern these days, Nagano. But yes, no, it was good. It was good. Do I have music going on? Is there background music? I don't have my headphones like normal, so I can't tell if there's background music. Yes, there is. Wonderful. Is it the right background music? We'll never know. What background music is it? What have we got playing? Oh, Season Apart. Okay, that's the right one. Beautiful. I look so nefarious. Yes, there is music? Thank you. Wonderful. Alright, so. Oh my goodness, this chicken is marinated for far too long. Yes, point is, we're drinking mushroom sake, and it's a good time. Ah, well, I'm sure it can't go too terribly. I'm gonna put this microphone down somewhere. There you go. It's going to be very echoey. You're in a box. You have a very strange sound to it. Wall here. Wall on the other side. Over the sink. We'll see how this goes, shall we? First things first. Pop our sake open. There we are. Smells like dirt. Cheers to you all. Tink. a mushroom sake before. Quite a nice one. What about sake? Very earthy. Got a slight mushroomy flavour, but it's very much more the sort of earthiness of a mushroom. Maybe something more like a... not quite. Definitely more over there. Earthy tones. Beautiful stuff. Alright, so, right here, we've got a tub of chicken. See if I can show the camera that spilled it everywhere. Yeah, there you go. Ooh, look at that garlic and that onion and that soy sauce and mirin stuff. Went with chicken thigh tonight. Went with chicken thigh. First things first, we need to turn this on. My red corduroy shirt. I'm not a fan of this shirt. I bought this one in Japan, this shirt. Red corduroy. Fun little shirt. Some oil ready. Oil! Probably have the recipe up, frankly. It's the first time I'm doing it. That's why it feels hot everywhere. Corduroy is very hot. I know that, but it is winter. I just wish my apartment knew that. My apartment doesn't seem to know it's winter. It seems to think it's still summer. Absolute bastard. Sunny day, I'm cooking in this place. And in the summer, oh, mate. Stick a fork in me, because I'm done. Garlic chicken again. Garlic onion chicken. That's what I'm making. Also, hello, Carbo. Yes, the pot stream. The legal in Japan pot stream. The only pot stream you'll see in this country. Because I don't want to be deported. So look at my rice cooker. Isn't it wonderful? I love this thing. It's a little ripper, this thing. A little ripper. A little ripper. And I'm going to get these gloves very dirty. Also, card box, drinking some mushroom sake from the hills of Nagano. Beautiful stuff. Smells like dirt. I can really taste the Japanese soil. Really can taste the Japanese soil. Oh my goodness. Leg reveal. Oh. Well, if this turns out well, I'll be hungry too. I'm very hungry. Right? For a day off, I don't really feel like I rested all that much. Alright. Sounding hot enough. I wish I had a gas stove or a conduction stove. I really hate these induction cookers. Induction? No, this is a conduction. What I want is a induction. I like an induction one. Very cheap, easy stove. That's what I get for living in a cheap, easy apartment. Alright. Let's dirty these gloves beyond repair, shall I? It said skin side down, but unfortunately both sides have skin on them, so I'll do my best. Sort of scared of the camera. I don't need to be, because stove in the way. I might have to do this in 2 batches. I don't think I'll be able to fit this all in one pan. Well, maybe I might. Probably means it'll take a bit longer to cook though. Ah! No, first time's the first time. Can't complain. Yeah. I'm not going to fit this all in one pan. Damn. Ew, look at these gross onion-covered fingers. This is why I should wear plastic gloves, but I didn't have any. Alright, what do you guys say? Well, maybe it tastes different in different countries. I know Australia tastes like steel and arsenic. Oh, nausea fish, you join me cooking chicken. Sorry, I can't. I have to walk to the other side of the room to look at chat. Otherwise, I have to look at in the reflection of a microwave and backwards, and I'm not that good at reading English. They're behind the stove. Crazy enough. Yeah, but the thing is, the angle is pointing down, and there's a rice cooker in the way. So even though there's a mirror there, because of the angle I've put it at, should be fine. Don't you worry. I might have thought about this. Yes, tongs would have been smart. Do I have tongs? Oh shit, I do have tongs. My god. I am very smart. Or at least, some version of me was rather intelligent. Oh, the rice is almost ready already. Not done it. Started it too early. There you go, turns out I do have tongs. Ah! Oops. Ah, it's fine. These are gardening gloves anyway. We're supposed to get dirty. Smells beautiful. Smells spectacular. I don't know why I just blew on the microphone like it was hot. I am just, as my nephews would put it, I am cooked. And I don't even think it's because of the alcohol I've drunk. I haven't even drunk it. This is the first alcohol I'm having for the night. Cheers, by the way. I am in a mess. Am I going into an apartment? No! I just keep getting given gardening gloves when I'm working. Because I work in a small school, 2 small schools actually. Often I'll help the gardener out with gardening, or I'll help... when I've got free time, I help keep the school clean and nice. And I always keep forgetting to bring the gardening gloves, so they just have a packet of them. Whenever teachers need to help maintain the grounds, or build a tent, or set up something for an event, often they'll wear these sort of gloves, and they just have a giant packet of them, so I keep accidentally... I've got like 4 pairs. One of them is covered, absolutely covered in, like, grease from cleaning my bike. Speaking of transport, the new car's going spectacularly. How's the new house going, Tiberian? Feeling good? Anything going? I know you were trying to renovate some things in the house you last mentioned. Any more updates? Alright. Alright. Everything's still everywhere. Can't figure out where to put everything. It's the nature of things, I suppose. It is a new space. Oh, this is smelling spectacular. Okay, let's push this all around. Put it around. See if we can't fit this last two pieces in. Oopsie daisies. Right. Alright. Let's leave that cook for a while. I think I need a bigger pan for this recipe, to be entirely frank with you. I think I need a slightly bigger pan for this recipe. Just don't even have space in my living for everything. Can't arrange it in a suitable way, which is maddening. Yes, interior design's never been my thing. I've been very good at, interior design in the sort of, what is the word for it? Pragmatic sense. I'm pretty good at organizing things fairly pragmatically. Organizing things fairly pragmatically, I've always been quite good at. But, you know, organizing things beautifully has never really been my thing. Though I'd like to be able to, but I've not really ever done it. Things arrange themselves over time into something that I like. Alright, I need to pour out some of this sauce, actually. Looking at the recipe. Pour out some of the sauce. Right. Pouring out some of the sauce. There you go. Yes! Smells spectacular. Oops, I forgot to turn the fan on. Otherwise I'll have to open a window. But yes, no, the trip to Nagano was quite nice. I've enjoyed myself on that trip to Nagano. And past Nagano and to the great beyond. I did stop in Nagano for a while. That's where I bought the sake. It was a sort of stopover between where I was actually going. Went to Nagano, went past it all the way up through a few different prefectures. It was a very long, long drive. I had to do the drive back on the Sunday. And, oh, my goodness, I was a state. It'd been a while since I've done such long driving. Last time was a few years ago in Australia when I did the whole 12-hour stint to North Queensland. That was a pain in the arse. Well, it was 12 hours from where I was. A few years before that, it was, you know, a dozen years before that, it was 24 hours. 12 hours, 2 days. Fun stuff, living in a large country. But yes, otherwise, quite good. Seeing all the autumn colours, driving off some side roads, seeing all the cool little things, going and buying weirds, alcohol. It's great. Absolutely spectacular. Tell me if it's on fire, I'm not looking. No, not on fire? What a shame. Alright, give me a moment, I have to put this down. There you go. Oh, probably should turn that down. But yes. Well, it's currently not on fire, so we're doing well, lads. We are doing well. I'm just going to have to wait for this one to cook a bit. Then I have to flip them over. Once they are golden on one side, flip them over. Then, put a lid on it, apparently. You should check, actually, what they look on one side. I'm terrible with cooking chicken. Not that I undercook it. I often know that looks good, actually. That's the kind of colour we're looking for. Alright. I tend to overcook it terribly, you know. I always tend to make my chicken like those rubber chickens you find at supermarkets that go nee when you squeeze them. I always end up making the chicken like that. It's looking quite nice. Fortunately, this is not an even-bottomed pan. A nice colour to it, though. Well, as long as this is cooked through, I'm not going to complain. It is the first time I've done this recipe, after all. Was it so dark? I can't tell which ones I've flipped over already. Did I flip that one over? No, clearly not. I think I got all of them. Tell me if you guys have noticed any ones that haven't been flipped over yet. But yes, this is a very ill-advised, wild stream. How hard is it to find plain skillets in Japan? No idea, I kinda just bought the cheapest pan I could and just hoped it would work. I don't have much space for cutlery, so honestly, the stuff I've got now, it's probably relatively easy. Amazon is available in most places in Japan, and if you can't find something on Amazon, then it doesn't exist. But otherwise, you know, it's quite easy to find skillets, I'd say. Though, in some cases, you might have to specifically look for it. Maybe out where I am, you wouldn't find it in like a home center, but you'd find it on Amazon. It'd be fine. I have a spectacular little thing. Very Japanese. Picked it up. It's specifically for katsudon and oyakudon. I use it often. It's one exception I made to the rules of not buying something for a single meal, because I really like katsudon. Let me see if I can assemble it and show it to you all. So this thing, little pan, got this very specific style of handle, as you can see, so I can just hold it up and tip it over. It allows me to pour it over a bowl very easily. You make single servings in this. Spectacular little thing. You can see how much I've used it. Sort of cook it all up in this, and then you just tip it straight onto the bowl. Slide it right onto the bowl. It's great. Katsudon, oyakudon. It's great. Love the thing. Also love those two meals. They're very good. Very Japanese. And also extremely unhealthy. Like everything I cook. I'm here for a good time, not a long time, as the kids say. Good time, not a long time. Smells good. Looks like Teflon, that's no good. Probably not. But it was useful. I don't know what the Japanese don't allow for cooking materials, but it hasn't killed me yet. Hasn't killed me yet. Just bought it from the local home center. No idea what it's made out of, man. No idea. No idea. Alright. No, this person uses an internal temperature thing. I don't have one of those. So we're gonna have to eyeball it. Gonna have to eyeball it, lads. Also, how does this keep getting mixed up? This cord loves to get tangled. Really? Getting so tangled that I have to turn you around this many times? How are you doing? I'm just holding you like I'm a... Are you reading a recipe written in Japanese? Yes, totally. Certainly. Of course. Why not? Mochidon. Mochidon and all that. Mochidon and all that thing. Of course, yes. I am that cool, yes. Which is shorthand for of course not, because I was lazy and translated to English. So currently not reading a recipe in Japanese. Though I have used a few Japanese recipes. My local little supermarket at the front has like a little book of recipes every so often that they change out. Very cute. Alright. Really trusting that these things are cooked through. Alright, let's add the sauce back in. Sauce that I poured out. Throw a loose lid on this thing and hope it cooks. Are you reading a retina or something? No, yeah. Sorry, I just read that comment again. But yes, so, we'll leave that there for a few minutes, and hope it doesn't set on fire while I'm not looking. But yes, for a long weekend, it's very interesting. So, the funny thing is, right now... Yes, so... I was chatting to my friend who lives over in a couple of other places. They have prefectural holidays. They have so many public holidays in this country. In Japan. It always surprises me. I feel like every second week I've got a Monday off. And I was chatting to a fellow when I was traveling who mentioned that this week over in Ibaraki, I think it was. Was it Chiba? Ibaraki? Fukushima? I can't remember. One of the ones on the eastern coast. They were having a holiday in the middle of the week. Like it's the Eka or something. But it was just a prefectural holiday. He was mentioning that, yeah, maybe over his. He was just mentioning that's when he was over and used to live over this, you know, over this that. I'm very confused. Sorry, I am so tired. What am I doing? But yes, when he used to live over that side of the country, he yeah, he was mentioning how he used to have a holiday sometimes in the middle of the week because they just. Very strange. And national holidays past Monday, I think. Veterans Day. Well, what was it? Last week? Last week, yes. The Monday was off for Culture Day? What was it? Culture Day? No, it couldn't have been Culture Day. Sports Day? No, that was an earlier one. Something. A day. But Japan has a bloody 100 of the damn things. So many days, you can barely poke a stick in them. Alright. It did say loosely put on the lid. And yes, this lid is bent. I dropped it on the floor. Dropped it on the floor, but then I found it actually fit better because this handle was always a bit in the way of the lid. So this lid being bent right there actually lets it fit better on it. Blessing in disguise, really. Blessing in disguise. Yes, I'm not too sure how I'm supposed to cook this thing. I've been too lazy. Just said, sort of simmer it for a while. Just making sure it's cooked. Thickens slightly. Okay. So looking for the sauce to thicken slightly. I understand. Usually I'd be lazy and use something like potato starch to make that happen. Well, I suppose it is thickening slightly. Smells great. I know you can't smell it through the camera. We haven't got smell-o-vision yet, but smells spectacular. But, well, garlic, onion, soy sauce. What? You can't really go wrong with a combination like that. I thought about it. Would have left home from work half an hour later to get my full hours. Yeah, I suppose. It's all a bit difficult, really, though. I often spend too much time reading in the evening and end up not doing it. We get time and a half for holidays. Oh, yes. Same with Australia, actually. If you're a government employee, though, you don't even get time and a half. You get 2 times if you're a government employee. Like a paramedic or a doctor or, I think, teacher, but teachers rarely work on public holidays. Why would they? Well, I say that. But yes, usually, if you're like government, you get 2 times, or government adjacent hospitals and the like. Even though there are private hospitals tend to still follow the name rules. EMTs are government workers there? Indeed they are. It wasn't like that 20, 30 years ago. 30 years ago, I think, no. Was it 30? I'm not even 40 now. Long time ago. Point is, they weren't when I was younger. EMTs were not when I was younger. They were a sort of private, community-funded thing. So, if you're in a country town, you better hope there was a good, rich farmer nearby that was concerned about the ambulances. Well, more concerned about themselves enough that they essentially funded the ambulance. That's usually how it went. The cane farmers, the big cattle properties, they would be the guys who'd be funding most of the budget for the smaller things. Like, I remember out near Charters Towers, central Queensland. It's an ancient, back when it used to be called QATB, Queensland Ambulance Transport. I forgot, what is it, Bureau? No idea. And they used to go out and do raffles. People would buy raffle tickets. I remember many times buying a raffle ticket to help fund the local ambos. But, the government decided just to, make it public, I suppose. Literally government run. Publicly run by the public. This ain't no publicly traded company. But yes, it was the opposite of privatization. Very rare. Very rare for something to be the opposite of privatization. Privatization. There you go. Run by private corps here. Never call an ambulance a US, but you're stuck with a bill for thousands of US dollars. You get 250 Australian dollars in New South Wales and Victoria, I think, but the rest of them should be free. The rest of them are free. I suppose the flying doctor is a bit more expensive. I think they're still private. The flying doctor's a bit more fancy, but yeah, everything else is part of government healthcare. Didn't used to be, but it is now. They did try and keep it free. The idea is you'd fund it other ways. You'd buy raffle tickets or donate to them. And that's how it would get funded, usually. Though they did charge before it became government. Fascinating stuff, though. Then it became, in Queensland, it was QAS. New South Wales, it's NSWQAS or whatever it is. I think they're cooked. Yeah, no. You are pretty lucky in Australia when it comes to that sort of stuff. You don't really have to deal with much money. Especially in places like Queensland. My favourite state. Even though I was born in New South Wales. New South Wales is nice, but, you know. I just hate Sydney. Not a fan of Sydney, myself. Alright, let's put this down. When I see somebody write the word corpo, it always just makes me think of cyberpunk. Always makes me think of those old 80s and 90s cyberpunk stories. They always use the word corpo. My ears all blocked up. I don't do much of it. About halfway through the cup. Ooh, it tastes more like dirt every sip. Alright, let's go find a bowl somewhere. Where the hell did I put my bowl? Pure and white, like me. What the hell is that? Yeah. My spatula for rice. That beautiful Japanese rice. Speaking of, actually, when I bought my new car, the fellow at the dealership gave me a bag of rice. I got a free bag of rice with my car when I bought it. Guess to thank me for buying the car from them. They were a little mom and pop dealership, so I suppose that's the case. Put it in the hot bag. Look at this bag of rice. The game probably revived the time. Yeah, certainly. Checking there's no identifying marks on it, but no, it doesn't appear. Unless the bag itself is identified. There's no perfectional marks. Yeah. There you go. Beautifully tied up bag of fresh rice right off the farm. Farm to table. Won't get more natural than this because everything in this country has an absurd amount of pesticides. Only Vietnamese rice, not sticky rice. Really, I am a big fan. My gloves are wet, so they make a sizzling sound when I put them on there. Whew. Yes, I've had a lot of different rice. Your jasmines, your long, your short grain, your Vietnamese, your Indian, your basmati. I really am a big fan of just Japanese sticky short grain. We made a lot of it in Australia. We actually did grow a fair bit in Australia, but it was the least popular. We just had like general long grain rice. That's what I used most often, but I am a sucker for some sticky rice. It just makes it easier to eat, to be frank. I really like when my rice doesn't want to run away from me. I'd rather my rice doesn't act like a fugitive. I don't have any salad, I just realised. I forgot to buy salad today. Of all the things, I forgot my greens. Oh well. The salad I had with my lunch will have to do. Not quite the healthiest meal, but, you know. You know. Point is, I am a fan of Japanese sticky rice. It's great. Convenient. Works. Every rice cooker here is designed to cook that specific rice, so you really don't want to use anything else unless you get a nice. You have to spend a lot more money on a rice cooker if you're going to cook any other type of rice. Makes it easier out of the rice cooker too. Anyway, enough about that. Now just get a spoon and get this stuff out, shall we? Normally, often I have to cool this down using water so I can actually use this because my apartment's not very big, so it's valuable cooking space. Valuable, usable space, so I have to put water on it. Just to cool it down quickly. And wipe the water down later, so I can deal with it later. Loved doing this sort of stuff as a kid. When we used to use the old gas cooker. Loved throwing water at it and going tsh, tsh. My mother never liked me near a stove. My mother never liked me near a stove, that's sure. Cool down! Right. But my kitchen was small, but Japan probably has me beat. Oh, you better believe it. I used the top of a washing machine as valuable cutting space. It's terrible. God, you know, I did this, I got the smallest apartment I could. That's, well, it was more of a, when I moved here, I was going through a company, so I just let them choose. I don't hate it. No, I've lived in smaller spaces throughout my life. It's not quite a cupboard without 12 other Australians. It's a cupboard with one Australian, occasionally a few Americans and Japanese people when they come to us. It's a place to rest your head. I've made it a home for a small part. It's not permanent, never is. Got a much more permanent space back in Australia. The whole point. Alright. Let's get some chicken in this bowl, shall we? Probably cooked through, I think. It's supposed to serve 4. But, knowing me, it'll serve 3, if not 2. Well, if I had a bit of salad, it would be perfect. Oh well, that'll have to do. Get some sauce in there. That looks spectacular. Yeah, I could get 2 more meals out of this if I get some salad. What? Actually, I might have some salad. Alright. Yeah, that'll work. Should check. I don't know if it's any good, but it might be something. Oh. 11th. 13th. Yeah, I don't think this salad is any good. It's supposed to have been eaten by the 3rd of November. It's the 13th of November. Don't think I'll eat that. What a shame. Anyway, let's have a test, shall we? Let's have a taste test. A fork. Spoon, that'll do. Alright. Looks nice. Pretty basic Japanese fare, I'd say. Food poisoning. Food poisoning is the spice of life, eh? Certainly. But I do need to go to work tomorrow. No, it might be a good way to get off work. Maybe I should food poison. Maybe you're onto something, Tiberian. That is good. That is very good. Suppose you can't go wrong with garlic, chicken, and onion. Pretty hard to screw up, I suppose. That is spectacular. Almost got a spiciness to it. Probably the pepper I put in. Probably got in a bit much pepper. Not like hot pepper, like black pepper. It's good. Doesn't go too bad with the sake, actually. There is some sake in this. There you go, mate. Oh yes! Very good point. Itadakimasu! Itadakimasu! Reminds me of that YouTuber, the whole junk food in Japan, sort of middle-aged fella. Previous Iron Man, I think? Very fit man. Runs a little YouTube channel called Junk Food Japan. He goes and eats junk food. He always screams, "Itadakimasu!" at the beginning of when he goes to eat a food in the videos. He's very fun. I recommend him. Junk Food Japan. Great. Sort of part of the abroad in Japan's cinematic universe. You know, I've never had honest-to-God food poisoning before, speaking of. You know, maybe I've had it once, but I've been pretty good at avoiding food poisoning. I've had that, or my stomach takes food poisoning very differently. Like, I haven't had the sort of multi-day fare that some people have had, even though I've very much eaten things that well and truly were out of date. When I was younger, my God, you could have caught me eating some things that, would have not been recommended. My fridge was not cold enough to be eating something after so long. But really, spectacular stuff. Yeah, I never get the proper food poisoning. I always end up with like food poisoning that happens several hours later, and is only ever one end. It's not the end it went in. That's the sort of gut rot I get. I think my stomach might just be very slow. It's a bit stupid, my stomach can't recognize things are poisonous. I swear half the whole poisonous munchkin will get the whole way through before it even notices. Whole chunks of ginger. There you go. Oh, raw ginger. Well, raw ginger. Cooked it out. Sliced ginger, not crushed ginger. I normally do. Usually I do crushed ginger, not sliced. The recipe asks for sliced. Quite nice. Oh, I'm enjoying myself. It's really good. Song about restaurants in Japan? Oh, maybe I will. Maybe I will. It may be mandatory, but I am a baka gaijin, as a small child once said to me. I am an idiot gaijin. So, I can do what I want. Gaijin smash and all of that. Can't believe the goal of that child. I was just walking down the street and he looked at me and went, "Oh, baka gaijin." Oh. Wakarimasu yo. I understand. I was teaching him. Oh my goodness. I've been teaching children I've been teaching recently. My God, I've had one group of them that have been a real pain in my behind. Frankly, it's payback for all the time when I was a child. I remember when I was a kid, I would never shut up in class. I got the cane more than any other. Couldn't understand why I wouldn't shut up. Nothing could make me shut up. I'd forget about getting caned 2 minutes after it happened. But it never stopped me. And now I'm getting payback because I've got a group of students who will not be quiet in class. They're always talking to their friends or yelling across the room. Great time. But one of them is a girl who's very sassy. She's going to grow up to be a spectacular mean girl character, this one. I can already tell. She is going to be the master of the high school clique. For better or for worse, frankly. But she does this funny thing where I'll try and get her to do an activity and she'll just not do it at all. Ignore it. Go start talking to her friends. And I'll get up to her and I'll talk to her for a bit. And then she'll just decide the conversation's over and turn and look at her friends and start ignoring me and just talking to them in Japanese. Now, a lot of the time, I just let her do it. You know, I'll come back a bit later. Somebody else would usually call my attention and she would just stop talking. She would try and stonewall me. Stop from doing the activity that I'm trying to get her to do in English. Teaching English, by the way. But this time, as I was trying to encourage her, I'm like, mate, fortunately, you're getting a bit older now. They're actually starting to test your English. Grow up to be a great Vtuber, I'm sure. Must have picked up from a parent. I thought the same thing if you're talking about the Baka Gaijin kid. I think the same thing. They're being very stupid. On a low speed. Sorry, Tim. I'll get back to the story about the girl. Seeing your comment reminded me. when I first saw them, they were up the street from me. I was riding, because I tend to ride to work because I'm healthy, riding back from work, very close to where I live. I was riding up. There was these three, first year middle school, 6th grade elementary school sort of age, so 12, 13. Not much older than that. And they were playing chicken with the cars. One of them jumped out in front of a car. Luckily they go quite slow on these side streets. These are tiny, old Japanese town side streets. Barely wide enough for a field mouse to get through, let alone an SUV. Really thin streets. But they jumped out for the car got quite angry and then beat to them. And I saw them do it, and they noticed I saw them do it. I came up to them and one of them was like, "Oh, wakagaiji." I was like, "Wakarimasu, abanayo." Yeah, I can understand, and it's dangerous. Don't do that. And they were like, "Oh. They just like kind of did that whole thing teenagers do, where they repeat back to you what you've just said to them in like a wakarimasu ya, abanayo sort of thing. It was a whole thing. They're only hurting themselves, frankly. Yeah, they actually like learning it seriously there. Yeah, well. I know a few fellas who worked in Korea. And, yeah, they take it seriously, but, man, the horror stories I've heard from that country. Christ. You think Japan's bad about some things, but, man, I wouldn't wish teaching as a career in Korea to even my worst enemy sometimes. My God. It is frightening, the things you hear about Korea's teaching system. Lovely place, I'm sure, full of lovely people that learn very good English. The stress would kill me. But that's just because I've got a bias. The people who have come to Japan from Korea probably did so because they didn't like Korea. So, I'll admit, I probably have a slight bias. But man, the stories I heard, scary stuff. Granted, I've had a few colleagues have a really bad time here in Japan. But it's, bad people everywhere. Friend dealing with a megalomaniac sociopath. Crazy, crazy person. Gaslighting, manipulating, lying. Purposely setting them up to fail. Crazy stuff. That's happening right now as I speak. Well, not as I speak. They've actually stopped working for them. But point is, bad people everywhere. Tend to see those people more, hear the stories more often. So, I have a poor opinion of Korea. But I'm also teaching children. I didn't want to learn anything when I was a kid. They're children. I don't hate them for it. I do my best. And if they don't want to engage, technically I'm not allowed to make them engage. But that's why I work in a team with another teacher. Usually it's 2 of us in the classroom. Hard mode. Pronunciation hard mode, yes. Making Korea and career. I should pronounce it like an American. Career. I'm gonna have a career in economics. That's where my career is going. Then I'm gonna go Korea. And, head to Seoul. And, had some good time. I heard Korean barbecue is really good. Korea's fried chicken. Korea. Yeah, it's a bit tough, isn't it? Career and Korea. In my accent, they're the same bloody word. Oh, it's an English phonetic spectacle. Break out the traditional disciplinary boot. Oh, I wish I could, mate. I wish I could. But unfortunately, my job posting does not allow me to take that sort of action. That's for the teacher I work with. Because I'm working in an elementary school, I'm working with the homeroom teacher, the teacher that is their normal teacher. We work side by side. Usually me being more skilled in English, and them being more skilled in class management. Unfortunately, not always the case. Class management isn't everyone's strong suit. Especially a class of 38 students. This is a very overloaded class. Suffering from a lot of things where often the classes are very small, so schools are worried to hire more teachers because classes are very small. Japan has a lot of elementary schools. So it's like thousands of elementary schools to hundreds of middle schools to a few dozen high schools is how it works. That's usually how it scales up in locations. So smaller towns and villages won't usually even have a middle school nearby. They'll have to take a bus or something like that, or a train. But sort of cities and larger tertiary centres, they'll tend to have elementary schools in every second corner, so the classes tend to be quite small, but sometimes you get an unusually large class, they don't have enough teachers, so you end up with almost 40 students in a class, and usually it sits around 25 to 30. 40 students is too much, this class is too big. One of the problems. They feel like they can get away with not doing anything because there's too many students for me to get through. But I do know the kids who are misbehaving. Yes, this girl was very funny though. Very mean girls. Very funny. So she did this whole thing, she kept ignoring me. She doesn't really realise that I'm an adult. And even though she still has that kid thing where adults don't change, you know? She's known me for a while now, almost 2 years now. And when I first met her, I had barely any Japanese knowledge. Couldn't speak Japanese to save my life. These days, I'm quite good at Japanese. Quite the dab hand at it. It happens when you're surrounded by it for 2 years. Got no choice but to speak it. Got a dab hand at the old language now. Well, you know, I still got a long way to go, but elementary school conversations aren't usually too far out of my wheelhouse. So these days, I'm a lot better at it. And so, when previously she probably could have gotten away with being a bit sassy, under her breath, to her friends, to my face, without me understanding, these days not so much anymore. Though now she probably thinks I could always understand her, and she looked very worried when I finally revealed the fact I could understand what she was saying to her. It was very funny. I laughed very hard. Didn't realise we've been there 2 years already. Yeah, almost 2 years now. Once we get to March next year. So I'm about 3 months out, 4 months out. Still a bit of time yet. But I got here early March. Technically only last year. No? Early March last year, so about a year and 8 months. Year and 9 months, maybe? I got 3 months until I'll be. Yeah, it's almost 2 years. Yeah, it doesn't feel that long. Time flies when you're having fun. But yes, this old girl, she was talking to her friends, and this time, I was telling her, like, you have to practice this activity because you're going out in front of your peers. At the end of this activity, you're going to be out in the front of the classroom, and you're going to be doing the English. You've got to do it. Don't have a choice. I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just what you have to do to get the marks in this subject. You need to be at the front and do the presentation. And this class has always been very misbehaving, so they never do well in their presentations because they never practice. And this one was no different. The moment I stop looking at them, essentially, if I'm not making them do the practice, they won't do it. And I know, maybe I need to make them more entertaining. I do need to probably sit down and do a bit more. It's been tough. It's been getting worse recently, this class. Anyway, point is, I did tell her that this was going to happen. And she was just like, oh, and she said something about it. She said, Moody, impossible. And I was like, Moody? She's like, Moody. And then she turned to her friend and just stopped talking to me, did the whole thing of trying to ignore me. And she turned to her friend and started talking. She's like, Moody janai. Moody janakute. Yari takunai. So she essentially said, it's not impossible. I could do it. I just don't want to. That's what she said to her friend. She was talking to her friend. She's like, it's not that I can't do it. She's probably showing off to her friends. By saying Moody to me, she's saying to her friends that she can't do this thing. And she's clearly quite prideful about it. So when she said she couldn't do it, she's like, actually, no, I can do it. I totally can do it. Yeah, I could totally do this activity easily. But I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I repeated what she said in Japanese back to her. And I laughed. And she was like, what, nani? And I was just like, wakarimasu yo. Yeah, wakarimasu yo. Nihongo, wakarimasu yo. Yeah, I know Japanese, you know. I understand Japanese, you know. And she's like, oh, Sayaku. That's the worst. Oh, no. She's like, oh, maji, Sayaku. Oh, that's the worst. Oh. She was very upset that she learned that she can't just speak Japanese and talk shit to my face anymore. She was like, oh, I can do it. And then when she did the activity, could she do it? Absolutely bloody not. She couldn't do it. Acting like she... Oh, I just don't want to do it. I can do it. I just don't want to do it. Ah, she'll be a spectacular mean girl in high school. That's the sort of action I expect from a movie character, not a student, but it's very funny. I got a bit of a laugh out of it. It's always the small things. I feel a bit bad making fun of a child, but you know, you take the small victories. She's the one who ultimately failed in the end. And I supported her the whole way. Oh well, what can you do? She's only young. She doesn't realise. So I hope she's not judged too harshly. Now, studying's hard, I understand. Frankly, makes me think of myself when I was a younger person. Problem is, no one ever tried to help me, so I don't even know how to help these kids most of the time. Most of them are quite good. And a lot of the loud kids in this class are actually very competent. It's just unfortunate that she was distracting and disruptive, but also not as good as her peers. Oh well. The class wasn't listening to her presentation anyway, so I suppose that's both tragic and a blessing to her, likely. Blessing to most of this class. The class doesn't listen to their own peers' presentations in English. It's just me and the other teacher listening. Oh, it's very sad. Anyway, let me finish this food. Ah. Yes, Sayaku. Oh, she was such a... At that moment, she very much seemed like a teenage girl from a movie. It was spectacular. I was like, wow, she's like a character. I didn't realize these people really existed. There you go. What a time to be alive. My goodness. It's already 9 o'clock already. There you go. Now, once I finish this bowl then, I think we might finish up the stream. Let's finish up this bowl. Finish up the stream. It is a very good meal, actually. I'm very impressed by how this turned out. Maybe a bit salty. Might need to reduce the salt I put in this meal a bit. By a tad. Probably a pinch or two less. But otherwise, it's quite good. Happy how this turned out. Yes, I've heard English is quite bad. It used to be quite good. Back in the 80s, Japan was near the top. These days, yeah, it's near the bottom. I just don't really care as much anymore. It's not just that. The school system as a whole is struggling, I suspect. Not just English. You know, you've got a lot of schools shutting down because of lack of children, everyone moving to Tokyo, which means those schools are overfunded compared to other schools which have a lot less funding. They still try very hard. A lot of the teachers I work with are trying their absolute damnedest. But yes, it is true that they don't produce very good English speakers. Though, out of the kids that I have, and I have, what, 300 in one school, 200 in the other. So about 500 students that I teach over a week. Not much. It's A lot less than I'd teach if I was teaching in middle school. I'd be teaching thousands of students a week. Far less useful English, frankly. But out of those, so each class has got about 25 to 30 students each. 24 to 30, maybe is a better way of saying it. And out of each class, in a single class, there's usually 5, I'd say. 5 to 6 that can just speak pretty good English. Well, at least they're far higher in level than anything I'm teaching them in elementary school. Then you've got probably 10 to 15 who are capable of doing any English that you give to them, but there's that sort of idea where I don't really think they quite understand it. You know, they're not really understanding the English, they're just capable of producing the English. Like they've learned the patterns rather than the language. You know, it's not quite there. And then the last third of the class they're not hopeless, but they either are not motivated, think they can't do it, are scared, shy, worried, not listening, and they'll struggle to produce. But if you give them enough time, they can. But it's quite rigid. These textbooks I use are not great, because often they'll do some very basic scaffolding, and you'll do a lot of scaffolding that seems to be leading to a certain end point. But then suddenly the end point they're expecting these students to pull out is so much higher level in communication. So it does a lot of like practice and repetition and using different forms. But then suddenly they expect these students to pull out a conversation at the end of it. And that's not how that works. You can't suddenly speak in a conversational manner when you've only learned a series of disparate sentences. Communicative English is a lot more difficult than that, but I'm stuck with the textbooks we have. These are the ones the Japanese government have, well, my prefectural government, perhaps, have decided are good enough. And yes, they're not very good at it. The English isn't bad. Like, I would never say the English is bad English. They've certainly improved since the 80s. I saw some of the textbooks that they used in the 80s, and my god, the English in those was fascinating. It was like a Creole. It wasn't even real English. Like a Japanese Creole of English. What they thought English sounded like from a spaghetti western. Excuse me. But yes, point is, really, I think they're struggling. They're struggling. And it doesn't help that they've essentially become more insular than ever, in a strange way. After the Void generation, the Lost generation, or whatever it was called, I think Japan just folded inwards and has never really looked out properly. You know, in the 80s, they were really quite good at English, but they were international back then. They were revolutionizing everything back then. Everyone wanted to talk to them, and they wanted to talk to everyone. But after the 90s, they just stopped talking. And a skill never used is a skill never learned. So, what could you do, I suppose? It's hard to change a culture. I at least think I'm a relatively positive effect on the students I work with. I've always been a well-liked person. So I think at least my students have a positive view of English, though I am sure middle school and high school will beat that positivity out of them. If what I've heard of middle school and high school in Japan is anything to go by, especially the teachers that I know that work in middle school and high school. It is a miserable, repetitive, dry situation where, because suddenly you turn 13 and have to go to middle school, that everything has to be boring now. They try really hard to be fun and creative and colourful and interesting in elementary school, and they encourage it. All the teachers are energetic and fun, and you don't really see those sort of classic Japanese teacher characters in elementary school. It's all the fun, entertaining, they go on cool school trips and do cool stuff and get magnifying glasses out and burn paper. That's very fun. And so is the English too. I try and do games and more interactive stuff. You know, we do fun things. You know, when I teach them about Australia, it's a great time. But the moment they go to middle school, that's all out the window. It's like fun doesn't exist anymore from what I've heard. They go very strictly by the textbook. I thought I was strict by the textbook, but my god, these middle schools. And it just, beats the fun to death, really. Death by 1,000 drills. Death by 1,000 English spelling drills, or English conversation drills, or English competitions, where you talk about the bloody SDGs for the 5th time. They love their SDGs. This whole governmental program about sustainability, development, and not too sure what the last one is. Globalization, probably. Very funny. Point is, tragic, really. From what I've heard. Again, I only know for the people I talk to. They work right now in middle schools in my town, but who knows, it's like they're everywhere. Point is, rather tragic, really. Beats the creativity out of it, I think. I realised, that's right, I'm gonna get a bit more fibre, more mushrooms in my diet this cycle. I have to eat the mushrooms again. Well. Mushrooms have no fibre, I know. I just forgot what they had in them. Get a bit of extra something. Substance. There you go. Let's take a seat. Alright. Dinner's done. That was probably the longest dinner. I'm terrible with eating. Someone's at lunch too. I'll be sitting down with the teachers eating my lunch. And a few of the teachers in the staff room will be there with me, and I have a terrible time finishing my lunch on time because I just love to talk. What are the kids calling these? Yapping or whatever it is. I don't prefer yapping. Makes me sound like a chihuahua or a dog. Never understood the kids. But yes, I do like to talk. My god, I do love to talk. And I've noticed a weirdly large... I don't know if it's just me, the conversations I'm having, but... recently, I've noticed I've just been a lot more capable in conversation in Japanese. It just felt very sudden. I feel like I was going through a bit of a dry spell, like, the last few months, and then when I went and travelled and visited my friend in Nagano, we went and visited a bar we had been in the year before. So I was in a bar the year before. It was this tiny little bar in the middle of nowhere, near where he lived. And we popped in again just because I thought it'd be funny. The weirdest part was, the exact same people were in that bar as was a year prior. The exact same group of weird people that we just happened to know. We met that many years ago. I have photos with these group of old Japanese guys. It's me, an old England, an old Australian, and all these Japanese oldies. It's a great time, a spectacular time to talk to your own generation. But apparently, to my friend, those guys hadn't been in the bar the last 2 times. He had visited throughout the year, and he hadn't seen them much. It just so happened the same night that I decided to come, almost exactly a year after I'd previously come, here they were. Great time. But in that conversation with the mama-san, with the mama, because it was a snack bar, by the way. So it was run by a lady, the mama, and another girl. The mama was Korean, and the other girl was Chinese. Very interesting pair. But we, as I was just chatting with them, they were baffled that I was because the year before I was barely capable of speaking. But this year I was just having conversation, I was talking about things I'd done, and they were like, "You're not really doing it perfectly, but I understand you now. Like, I get you, and you're not pulling out your phone very often to use Google." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I guess it made me feel nice." Suddenly realised how much progress I'd made, but it felt like I hadn't been making much progress recently. Guess I hadn't been using it. As I said before, a skill unused is a skill not learned. Skill not used is a skill not learned. I guess I just didn't realise I had learned that much. It's one of those moments. You always don't realise. You can never tell how good you are at something until you really get into the nitty-gritty. I felt like maybe the conversations I was having at work just weren't different enough to make me feel the difference. It was very nice. I still feel like people talking at me is quite difficult. Sometimes I get about half of the conversation. About halfway through what they're talking about, I go, oh, I think I get what they're talking about now. But yes. Anyway, I think we might leave it there. I do need to start packing up and heading to bed. Got work early tomorrow. But luckily enough, that annoying class is on the school trip, so I don't have to deal with them. Ha! A very easy, cruisy day tomorrow, practicing Japanese. Oh, I forgot to practice my Japanese again today. Anyway, yes, we'll finish there, so we get up one last time and cheers the camera. With the empty glass with mushrooms at the bottom. Oh. There they are on the bottom of the glass. It's all over now. Cheers, cheers. And as always, thank you all for watching for this very strange and out of nowhere stream. I did say I'd stream in the middle of the weekend. By gosh, I streamed in the middle of the week. This has been a very distracted, very strange, very bizarre stream, but I'm glad it worked out. I hope it was entertaining. And otherwise, as always, thank you all for watching, and good night, sleep tight, and don't let the hot stove bite, because it's your friend. It just wants to help you make delicious food. Can't go wrong with garlic onion chicken. So, as always, nighty night. I'll see you all later.